See you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way, and that I believe I could have run behind you. Martin, I can remember when we came to center and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and I run that coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Martin, you guys are hot. 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show fan page can be found at Martin Houston Live on Facebook as well as on YouTube at Tide 109 and on X's and O Sports. All of those places broadcasting, simulcasting the Martin Houston Show. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning, and sitting in with me co-hosting once again is X's and O's Xavier Houston. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Glad to be back.
Glad to have you back. I know life is always changing, especially when you got a young family. So we appreciate you, and hopefully we'll get back in a regular routine. But glad to have you back with us today and any and every time that we can. Lots happened since the last time we talked about, so we'll go back and review those things. We'll talk about Alabama basketball, of course, with the potential trap game tonight as they get into, I say, the toughest part of the schedule, the second time they've had a tough schedule, tough run. This one may be tougher than the other one, but we'll definitely be highlighting that as they have a chance to take on two top 5 teams in the coming weeks, and of course another top 25 team in Kentucky. So we'll break that down. We'll look at those things. We'll look at the transfer portal. Get your thoughts on Jermaine Burton, and a little sidebar conversation that can go along with that is the impact of the transfer portal on the fan base. Transfer and fan bases, and some of the players, as we saw yesterday. There's some guys from Georgia beginning to comment on Jermaine Burton's transfer, so we'll break down that conversation as well. And time permitting, we'll get to deal no deal, some grades for this Alabama team. Who's going to be the replacement for some of the stars? So all that conversation is up for you to be a part of, and you can be a part of it by joining us at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904, the Taco Casa hotline open for business, and we'll be glad to have you as part of the conversation. And hey, if you're not one of those people that want to talk on the airways, but you want to get your thoughts and comments in, you can always hit us up on our chat option, and we'll bring that into the conversation as well. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. And just for those of you who may have a little concern, we will not have DC on today. DC is fine. DC is doing great. DC taking a little break, spending a little time with the love of his life and some vacationing, some different things there. So DC is good, and DC will be back with us on next week, barring any unforeseen incidents. I just want to let people know I had some people asking, questioning, hey, what's up with DC? And I knew if he missed another week, it may be even more concerns. But DC will be back with us in his regular time slot. Good morning, X. How you doing, man? Once again, I'm glad to have you back with us. A lot to catch up on. We hadn't talked in a while, and so I still like to get your thoughts on certain things. Been some interesting transfers and landing places for Alabama players, landing anywhere from Kentucky to Arizona State to Arkansas. When you look at those guys, USC, I guess there's several different ways to ask this question. One is, so far, which one is the most shocking landing place for one of the Alabama transfers?
Yeah, I actually covered this on my podcast that is now out today, episode 2, Can Bama Bounce Back. And the most shocking would probably have to be Drew Sanders for the simple fact that this is a kid that could have gone anywhere in the country. He took a visit out to Oklahoma. A lot of people thought he would go back to the state of Texas, either at Texas or at Texas A&M, and he ends up staying in conference at Arkansas, which is a huge get. And Arkansas has done a great job this cycle with the portal. They got Jalen Hasselwood from Oklahoma, Landon Jackson, who is a four-star defensive end from LSU. So Sam Pittman has done a lot of good things there. And if you don't want to talk about Sanders, maybe you look at Shane Lee going to USC. Lincoln Riley has also done a great job in the transfer portal this cycle. He also landed a linebacker, Romeo Heights from Auburn. So those are the two that are probably the most shocking. Sanders for the other options that he had, and the fact that Shane Lee, who hasn't seen a lot of playing time over the last 2 years, ending up at out in California with the Trojans.
Yeah, I would tend to probably say most shocking, or from a standpoint of fit, potentially would be Shane Lee going to USC. I really was concerned that if Shane Lee didn't end up at Maryland, hometown, Loxley, etc., that he may end up being one of those guys that may have to step down a little bit, maybe uh, not division, but to the group of 5. But hey, kudos to him. He landed at USC, so that would probably be my most shocking transfer at this point. But I do get why you would name a Drew Sanders. Most shocking would probably be Shane Lee. Most surprising would probably be Drew, because I did expect him to end up at one of the 3 schools you mentioned, home state, either Texas or Texas A&M, especially since he stayed in the Western Division Conference. If you had said, okay, Drew Sanders is not going to leave the Western Division, which school is he going to end up at? It would have been, Texas A&M all day long for me. But once again, Sam Pittman, when he was at Georgia, he was known as an unbelievable recruiter, and he got things turned around at Arkansas. And maybe, just maybe, Drew Sanders realized, hey, man, I can go here and talent-wise, you go to the Texas A&Ms of the world, you don't just win the job for that year. You got to win the job every year, because they might just bring they're more likely to bring in a Will Anderson or Dallas Turner on top of you coming there. And maybe Drew didn't want to deal with that again. Who knows? But wishing him nothing but the best there. And then, of course, Alabama getting Jalen Moody to stay. Is that a big deal or not a big deal?
I think it is a massive deal when you look at the depth at the inside linebacker position. I saw someone that listed out the amount of snaps that have been played by other middle linebackers at Alabama, and it was a total of 12 snaps outside of Henry Toto while Moody was in the portal. But you get Moody back, a 5th-year senior, a guy that has started a game, who has been in competition for playing time for the last couple of years. So he is probably the hugest stay here player that Alabama has been able to get.
Yeah, so that's a huge deal. And when you look at that position, now they got some potential dogs that could come in and play there. Deontay Lawson, Kendrick Blackshire, Ian Jackson. I would assume DeMore Kennedy is going to be back on the defensive side of the ball. And then, of course, incoming freshmen, they have a guy supposed to be, one of the best players in the country, Sean Murphy. So this spring is going to be a lot of fun in terms of heated competition at the inside linebacker position. And so we'll keep our eyes on that position for sure in terms of depth and all of that. Now, one of the other questions, we'll kick this to the other side, but Bama and so far, we need to give Bama a grade on how they've handled the transfer portal as well as the impact of the transfer portal on the fan bases of their respective schools. So we'll continue that conversation. We'll invite you to be a part of it. 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. Also, remember, you can definitely put your thoughts in chat, and we'll bring it into the conversation. Curtis Moore, we're commenting on Jalen Moody. He says he does his job, J-O-B, all caps. I remember a couple of seasons ago when Christian Harris went down in Fayetteville, Moody played lights out beside Moses. And I don't think he's a alpha dog, but I do think he is a great complementary player. And I'm going to tell you, there is something about being an old hand. There's something about knowing the defense. There's something about experience. And even if it's a safety blanket, Jalen Moody coming back. And I was told by someone that's really close to Pete Golding that Pete Golding went out of his way to re-recruit Jalen Moody back even before it was known that Christian Harris was leaving, but especially after it was announced that Christian Harris was leaving. So whether we as fans think it's a big deal or not, the Alabama coaching staff definitely does. We'll continue the conversation about the transfer portal, Alabama, and how they're doing. We can even talk about coaching staffs. Have we heard anything? Who's in, who's out at the Alabama Crimson Tide? And, of course, basketball conversation. All of that and more right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Traffic pretty quiet on this Tuesday morning. If you do see conditions throughout the day that folks 86. Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer, has an amazing selection of new and previously owned vehicles. You could save a bundle. Go see your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Under the biggest cactus in town, Taco Casa. Quality is number one. You got to start with a good quality product, but it's got to be at a good value to the customers.
Everything is about quality.
You just can't beat the quality, taste, and value.
And it's because we take pride in providing you with the best.
Good customer service and good food, good quality.
We want to make sure that we give that to them each and every time they come and visit us. The sense of pride that we have in the quality, the consistency of our food carries over to everything we do in the stores. That's Taco Casa.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient.
Visit driveelectricalabama.com to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the Alabama Clean Fuels Coalition, the ABA, and this station.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Work is a part of all of us. Working drives us to push beyond what we thought was imaginable and allows us to come together again for the things that really matter. That's why the Alabama Department of Labor The Alabama Career Center system is here to help you discover bigger opportunities than ever before. Visit your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, PTA, and Federal WIOA, the Equal Opportunity Employer Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather stays dry today, but the sky will be mostly cloudy. Tuscaloosa's high 52. For tonight, clearing and colder, the low at 28. Tomorrow and Thursday, sunny both days. The high tomorrow 49, the high Thursday, and the middle 50s at 56. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 47 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
All right, Martin, you guys are at 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. Hey, if you're out there and you're looking for a great way to promote your business, a great way to let people know what you have going on, whether it's a ongoing branding campaign or you got a promotion going, you're getting ready to kick off for Valentine's, etc., you need to partner with the Martin Houston Show. We'll be glad to help you promote your business, your idea, your vision, and your event. You can send me an email at martin@martinhouston.org. That's martin@martinhouston.org. Love to hear from you. Give us an email, and my team and I'll come out and see you, and we'll get that set up. Hey, let's continue the conversation. As we were going to break there, we were talking about the transfer portal and Bama and the transfer portal. I guess, first of all, do you see Nick Saban? Do you think Nick Saban's going to land anybody else out of the transfer portal? And if so, what do you think the biggest need is for Bama from a transfer portal need?
I'm not really sure if he's going to add anybody else. If you were to look for a position, maybe somewhere on the offensive line, the question is at running back, what was that room going to look like with McClellan and Williams coming off of injury, Wheaton coming off of injury, Sanders looking like he's getting back in the swing of things with two true freshmen coming in. Landon Gibbs was huge. Getting Burton to add some experience, some real experience at the wide receiver position, and adding Ricks to the cornerback room after we saw some struggles there in the national championship game. Everywhere else is either returning guys or has a lot of experience. So my guess would be the offensive line if they were to add anybody else.
Yeah, I would say on the offensive side of the ball, first place I would look for would, of course, be if I could find a veteran, proven guy, and Nick Saban said that's the only type of guys they bring in. From last year, he said if we bring someone in from the portal, it's because we think they're better than the guys we have. So with that said, Evan Neal is right now probably going to be the hardest guy that's leaving to replace. And we'll dig deeper in at some point this offseason before the draft into who we think is going to step up to fill those spots. But we'll get through signing day before we do that. But offensive tackle definitely becomes one of them. Then the other one, Xavier, is the tight end position. I think Billingsley, I guess the question I'm actually deal, no deal. Did Nick Saban them encourage that? Was Billingsley potentially a cancer if he came back, or is that a major loss for the Alabama Crimson Tide?
From potential wise, it is a major loss because Jaleel Billingsley has all the potential in the world. He has the potential to be better than OJ Howard. He has the potential to be better than Irv Smith. But he got in the doghouse and then just seemed throughout the course of the season not to give it his all, not to give his best effort. Now he made a huge catch on the game time drive against Auburn, but that was it. Like there wasn't there were times where he just absolutely disappeared from the offense. So from potential wise, it's a big loss. From productivity, I don't think so.
Yeah, you just kind of have to look at what the potential there was, but was it coaching? Did he have a falling out? Not just in the doghouse standpoint, whether it was vaccine related or not. That's what people say. I don't know that to be the case or not, but and then you add into the way his coach left, and maybe there wasn't a good mesh there because he ends up going back to familiar territory with Sarkisian at Texas, and you would think we all waited on it. Bill O'Brien would have been a great fit for Billingsley based on how he used the tight end positions at New England, and having a young quarterback. All of those things seem like they pointed toward Billingsley having a great season, but it didn't pan out. And so that kind of makes you ask the question: Does Alabama go after another tight end? I think we do. I think that's one of our big pushes, whether it be the portal or it be from the high school ranks, because I believe they wanted Skinner, the young man that ended up at Miami. And of course, when you see the fact that for I guess about 2 or 3 weeks or so, Hank said Alabama's not going to be in the portal. I mean, not going to offer any more high school kids, Xavier. Well, this past weekend, they had Daniel Lewis, a 3-star tight end from that had been committed to Cincinnati, decommitted after our game against Cincinnati, and ultimately ended up coming on a visit last weekend. So is Bama trying to get Darnell Washington from Georgia or this Daniel Lewis kid because they see the need at tight end, and Bill O'Brien maybe wants to go back to more of that Gronk and dual tight end type of offense?
Well, if he wants to go back to that, I think Elijah Brown and Amari Niblack, especially Amari Niblack, are are good Hernandez types. They're especially Niblack. He's a little bit more athletic. Played a lot of wide receiver in high school. Well, where when you look at Lewis, the high school kid, and Darnell Washington, they're the grunt types, which we have in Cameron Latou, especially Washington at 6'7", 260. They're he's almost a mirror image size-wise of Rob Gronkowski. So, yeah, I mean, tight end is definitely more of a need from the experience, but adding a high school kid would make 3 freshmen, along with the little bit of depth that Alabama has behind Latou currently. So I don't know if there's that experienced, athletic move flex tight end in the portal right now.
Yeah, I guess, and the question become, what does Oots do? I wear my hat that says "Make fullbacks great again." Nobody talks about the fact that Oots was injured down the stretch, which after the Texas A&M game, we did use Oots a little bit, and we used him before the Texas A&M game. We didn't use him in the Texas A&M game. Then we used him again. Then he got hurt. You don't ever say this, but would we have had a different setup? And that was him coming from fullback. Is Oots an inline type of tight end with the blocking standpoint this upcoming year, and Latou moves out? And if that's the case, then Latou becomes more the receiver type, the Hernandez type, and while Oots is the inline blocker, and helping out there where you don't give away your offense when you bring in your tight end like we do with Kendall Randolph. We need to get that fixed. In my opinion, I think that helps the running game. So we'll continue to look at that and watch that position. Encourage Moore II said, I was watching Dog Post the other day, and they were saying Darnell Washington is still rumored to transfer. So who knows? And hey, listen, the same person who told me that that Jermaine Burton was headed to the Crimson Tide before it was announced that he was even transferring, because they knew that they thought that they would lose a couple of receivers or skill positions if Bennett said he was coming back, and that's one so far. It could be other, and that one is Jermaine Burton. How big of a deal is it that Alabama's getting Jermaine Burton back on, at the wide receiver position?
I think it's huge. I made a video about it yesterday, and a guy commented and said Jermaine Burton is really about to be the first player to win back-to-back national championships with different schools, and end up in the first round. So yeah, I think it's a huge getting. If we can get a guy like a Darnell Washington, that makes it that much better. And a lot of Georgia fans are mad and complaining. How can you win a national championship at one school and then transfer to a team you beat? Maurice Smith is all I have to say. Maurice Smith left Alabama after winning a national championship to go to Georgia. So Georgia fans, what are you complaining about? This is the trade back that we've been waiting on.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. I guess the question becomes that is going to be weird, because talking to a coworker yesterday, and we were talking about the fact that he could literally leave Georgia, come to Alabama, win a national title, and leave and head off to the NFL as a two-time national title winner. And that brings up an interesting conversation. At that point, especially if he gets a degree from Alabama, is he a dog or a Crimson Tider? We're going to keep that conversation to the other side of the break. But when I was like, man, if this begins to happen, how is this going to impact the craziness, man? So let's get let's go ahead and get the break. We'll come back. We'll get Pat and Alan on the other side of the break, and we'll continue this transfer portal conversation. Give Alabama a grade on the portal conversation, as well as I'm interested to see how the fan base, and like I said, this may be a deeper conversation once we figure out exactly who all's transferring and where Alabama players are going to end up and all that. But it's going to be interesting to see how this impacts the fan base. I remember when the NFL went to free agency and how the fan bases struggled when their favorite player on their NFL team went to the competitor, and how it was a big deal. We're now at that point in college football. How is it going to affect the alumni and so much more? We'll have all of that right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Traffic pretty quiet on this Tuesday morning. If you do see conditions throughout the day that folks need to hear about, please give me a call, 205-886-8886. Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer, has an amazing selection of new and previously owned vehicles. You could save a bundle. Go see your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Tuscaloosa Tire and Service, they've got the big brands you know and trust. Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Cooper, and they can finance for you as well. When you need routine maintenance and alignment, a tune-up, whatever it is, belts, hoses, just basic stuff, or when you don't know what's wrong with your car, truck, or SUV, make it Tuscaloosa Tire and Service. They're dependable, they're trustworthy. That's why they've lasted for over 36 years. Skyland Boulevard, McFarland Boulevard East, in Northport on Lurleen Wallace Boulevard. Check out the website, TuscaloosaTireandService.com.
I know you've been waiting a little bit longer than normal.
Jen's manicure spot needs an extra pair of hands.
Who's at the front desk right now?
Someone who's handy with everything from nail files to spreadsheet files.
Deidre's not coming in today, but we have that whole bachelorette.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our Pep Talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com, that's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back in. It's another day, another dollar right here on the Martin Houston Show. And thanks to the great folks over at Alabama One, alabama1.org. You can go check them out. 2 great promotions running at the same time. Both of them will help you stop the impact. Put a goal line stand on that, the impact of interest rates, whether it's a home equity line of credit, it will stop the impact of the interest rates. Great deals there, or a credit card balance transfer. Spent too much money on that credit card with that high interest rate, transfer it over to Alabama One MasterCard, and you will be, Visa card, and you'll be able to stop the impact of those high interest rates. That's alabama1.org. Go check them out. All right, we're back, X, and we got a couple callers as we're coming back. As we're going to break there, Curtis Moore, the second, said, "You get that degree from Tuscaloosa, you ain't a dog, you Crimson Tide guy, LOL." Well, is Jalen Hurts a Sooner or a Crimson Tider? You know, and is the grad transfer different than the transfer portal? You know, that's a conversation we're gonna have at some point. And it's gonna screw up the alumni base. I'm telling you, because you're gonna be literally talking to seriously, like Jermaine Burton. I mean, somewhere down the road, somebody's gonna be talking to him about what he did. Say he has a game-winning touchdown in a national championship game this upcoming year for Alabama. You know, but he was only the only Georgia team, and if they keep up with their normal record, everybody made it as a big deal, Xavier, that Georgia had not won a national championship since the 80s. Well, Georgia, before that, the previous one, I think, was like 42. So it wasn't like they were knocking them out on every decade type of pace. So, I mean, anyway, he would be the guy who won it for Alabama, but also broke a crazy streak. We'll watch that and listen to all of that, and all that'll be a part of the conversation. But hey, let's get to Pat. Pat, you in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, X. And man,
Good morning.
Hey, what y'all are saying about Jermaine Burton, I mean, like Burton is absolutely correct. He's John Mechie with downhill skills. I'm talking about this is going to be a tremendous pickup for Alabama in the passing game to give us a little bit more strength in the receiving core. And I mean, it's like Coach Saban has found a chocolate fountain on the wedding table goodie bar. He doesn't really need it, but he's gluttonous. He wants more. He wants better players. And if he sees somebody he can get that will add to his team, he's just going to reach out there and grab them. And the sad thing about it is, it doesn't seem to be anything can be done about it. What do y'all think?
Well, Pat, I ask you this question. How comfortable are you with our receiver room without Jermaine Burton?
I like it okay, but I think with adding Burton to it, it just makes it that much better.
You like it what? What's that last word you said? Okay. When was the last time Alabama did not feel like they had a dominant wide receiver coming back?
Since Cooper left.
Well, there's never been a time since Julio.
There's a year gap between Coop and Ridley. Coop left. We didn't have anybody. Then we got Ridley. Or no. Coop Ridley replaced Coop.
Right.
We didn't know who Ridley was to begin with.
But there was a lot of confidence that Cooper would be that type of guy, though. You felt like, and even watching but you're right. We didn't know. Do we have that guy? I think this year makes it different because we saw these guys, some of them. Did any of them make you feel like, okay, they're the next man up? Because you felt that way about Mechie even when you had 3 first-rounders.
I like Brooks.
I'm not saying we don't. I'm asking that question. I
feel like Ja'Cory Brooks could have taken over the wide receiver room. I saw enough flashes in him late. He didn't have a lot of opportunities, and he was never going to be the number one guy until injury happened. But I saw enough from the Auburn game, the playoff game against Cincinnati, that an offseason with Bryce, I was fine if we didn't get Burton. But I like Burton's the extra chocolate on the strawberry.
And I guess, and I'll let you go after this, Pat, so I can get to Alan and you can respond. But when you look at the fact that Jai Hall didn't play at all, and think about how many times he was targeted in his first game, is he a sleeping giant that just got in the doghouse for whatever reason, didn't work after spring or whatever, and could he become the number one guy? Because he was as targeted as anyone once he came in and started playing after Williams went down. Pat, closing thoughts before we get to our next caller.
Just like Brooks says, Ja'Cory looked great in the spring game, and then we didn't hear anything else of him. But I'm hearing that Washington, when he goes into the portal, that he'll be our tight end. I'm right there with you, Martin. And so y'all have a blessed day. This thing continues to get crazy, but hey, that look like Coach can be stopped.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach Saban running the transfer portal. Every new transition, Saban always seems to be the master of how to utilize it. Alan, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir? Is Alan still there? Alan may have had to go. Alan, if you want to call back, we'd love to have you back on the conversation with us. Always, phone lines are always open, 205-342-9904. Hey, we were talking about that conversation with, Jermaine Burton. Man, what a get. And yeah, you look at the wide receiver room. There's a lot of talent, but it'll be interesting to see how roles are divvied up. In times past, we've had the speedster. Once we started transitioning to this high-powered offense, we've always had someone was a speed merchant, and someone was a possession guy, and someone was the route runner. The guy you can't really touch, and sometimes that was the same guy, and sometimes it wasn't. This year, we're having to replace all three of those. You think about we're having to replace, Bolden. Everybody that dogs Bolden, whatever they say, you can say what you want. Bolden was a go-to guy in key moments throughout this year and at different times during the year. And then you had Matthew, who was the route runner, Mr. Reliable, going to get the most catches. And then you had Williams, who was going to stretch the field. So we're going to have to replace not just those three receivers. It's one thing to replace three different receivers. It's another thing to replace three different types of receivers.
Yeah.
And that's the question is, do we have that? I think we do. I think Christian Leary kicks back out. I think JoJo Earl gets back into the swing of things. And then I think there's a battle between Brooks and Hall and Holden for that next position type of guy. So thoughts on that before we give Saban a grade so far in the portal?
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of good things out of Earl and Leary potentially. And then you look at the guys coming in, they're all, especially Bond and Anderson, they're more of that slot guy that can take the top off. And you look at Preston and Law, who are good speed guys, but have a little bit more size on them. My money probably right now is Burton and Brooks being the starters. Ajay Hall has to put it together, and I think Holden, if he can't get into the starting rotation, has another solid year being that third wide receiver in that group. Because I feel like if Hall doesn't get it, we might have a repeat of what we saw this past year, and I think that might lead to him no longer being on the team. I hope he gets it together, and I hope he's able to perform, but got to wait to see with him.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's there's a lot to talk about there, and of course we have all off season to break down, and we will have a breakdown by positions at different times throughout this off season. We'll give grades, we'll give who we think, we'll give our thoughts on the depth chart. We'll get to all of that. But before we do that, we are in the midst of a basketball season that has been Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I think is how you say it. When we're good, we're good. When we're bad, we're bad. And we finish up the game really good against Mizzou. And here's a clip as we go to break. I want you to simmer on this a little bit as we hear about what's the potential that this finish could be enough to catapult this Crimson Tide team into a nice run and a couple big wins. Here's that audio right here, right now.
Yeah, I think this is 18-5, and I think even before that, I think it was 30-9. So I think what we learned is when we play really hard, like we did at the last 8 minutes or so of that game, we're a pretty good basketball team. And when we don't play that hard, we're not a very good basketball team. So if we can play that hard at the beginning of the game at Georgia, I'd be happy. And the beginning of the second half against Georgia, maybe we've learned some lessons. We've got to have better starts to the halves. We had good finishes to both halves. I think it shows our guys, competitors, though. We didn't lead for much of that game against Missouri, but they closed in a flurry. They turned them over. I think we only had them turned over 5 times at the under 8 media timeouts in the last 7.5 minutes of that game or so. We turned them over 6 times. When we play really hard, this is a good basketball team. Played really hard against Gonzaga. We played really hard against Houston. We've chosen not to play as hard in some teams. We got to play hard, play with effort, fly around, make tough plays, make blue-collar plays. When we do that, we're a good basketball team.
That's Coach Nate Oates, and we'll pick up that conversation on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show with X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a pretty serious wreck on US 11 near Lower Coaling Road with lane blockage and delays. Emergency personnel on scene. If you see other conditions, please give me a call. Townsend Nissan, your hometown dealer, has an amazing selection of new and previously owned vehicles. You could save a bundle. Go see your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
In the Town Square Media News Center, I'm Scott Michaels. Former Alabama Crimson Tide walk-on wide receiver Joshua Lanier was arrested last week and charged with first-degree sexual abuse and first-degree sodomy. He was released on bond. Lanier is the son of Tuscaloosa District 7 City Councilman Cassius Lanier. U of A Tuscaloosa campus saw 522 confirmed COVID-19 cases last week. That's about a 5% increase over the week previous. In the Town Square Media News Center, I'm Scott Michaels.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show. And I want to tell you Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curve series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Carving. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Carving, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Carving can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Carving at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Carving, LLC.
Tuscaloosa Locksmith has key remotes, remote fobs, smart keys, and car remotes. Tuscaloosa Locksmith, 1605 23rd Avenue, just off of 15th Street behind the fire station.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too, because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Your friends at BMW of Tuscaloosa are thankful for a great 2021. Our commitment for the future is to make 2022 an even greater year for our employees, friends, and customers. We're proud to be the exclusive West Alabama home of the incomparable BMW, the ultimate driving machine. Plus, an all-star lineup of pre-owned BMWs and other specially selected used automobiles. Whether what drives you is prestige, performance, dependability, or easy payments, get more bang for your buck at BMW of Tuscaloosa.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Juwan still day to day. Them doing any live stuff in practice today. They're just trying to let that facial contusion heal. I think we've got the face mask, so it's one of those deals. As soon as he and the trainer feel comfortable that he can go out there without risking anything further happening or deal with the pain of it getting hit through the face shield, he'll be able to play. So he's but he has not practiced any live stuff yet. Chiku and Ambrose are getting better, obviously, with Rojas in the rotation. It adds another front court player that's got experience, that's proven to give us something we need. Those guys are continuing to improve and get better, and if needed, we'll put them in the game.
All right, that's Coach Nate Oates talking about the injuries, and I think this team X is in search of identity. I think they are in search of what's their identity. And last year, I think Herb Jones, without a doubt, spearheaded that cause, and no question about it. And the audio clip we heard going to break was, "Hey, we're a really good basketball team when we play hard, when we give effort." How disheartening! And Joe and I talked about this yesterday. And Joe, you're welcome to come in on the conversation if you want. How disheartening is it that that we say, "Oh, we're a really really good basketball team when we play hard," and that's not that's 100% controllable.
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those things. It's like, why aren't these guys playing hard every game, all game? This is a very talented roster, and you've seen it with the likes of playing Gonzaga and Houston, and then they'll shut it down. Like I guess Coach Joe said, they finish halves great. Why can't you start that way? You know, they potentially beat Auburn if they just play a full 40 minutes. They beat several of these teams. They beat Mizzou the first time if they play a full 40 minutes. So it just doesn't make sense why this team can't seem to put it together consistently for 40 minutes.
Joe, you got any thoughts or comments on that? Yeah, when you look at it, is it the AAU effect where you just shoot, and you wait on the other team to have a bad shooting half? I mean, I don't know, but I do think that Juwan Gary is critical to this team's success, because to me, he's a guy that can give us some of that blue collar Herb Jones effort. And I think the addition of Rojas is going to prove to be critical to this team having blue collar, hard work, hard nose, maturity, and discipline. I think Rojas is a key factor in that conversation.
Yeah, when you look at this team, and what I feel like they need to do to be able to win games is they need to be able to play for 40 minutes, but you look at better shot selection, you look at rebounding on the defensive end, and you look at rebounding on the offensive end if you're not having a great shooting night.
But is rebounding okay. Rebounding, defense, boards, steals, are not all of those all related to two things?
Playing hard.
Playing hard and want to, or toughness. And does this team?
I think so.
Does this team have the want to? Did early success satisfy this team too much? Because this team, in spurts, looks like the team early this year. If that team we can get that group back, that effort, that focus, that dedication, that discipline, I think this team can be really, really good. What do you, when you look at this Alabama game as they get ready, man? This is, if there's ever a trap game in basketball, this has to be one. What do you want to see from this Alabama Crimson Tide team as they come out? This time.
I want to see what Nate Oates has been preaching, that hard nose, that hard hat basketball for 40 solid minutes. You know, don't take your foot off the gas. Don't get comfortable. Don't get complacent. Play hard. Better shot selection, as I've said. You know, defense. You know, full court pressure. You know, in the terms of the effort that you're giving. You know, press these guys. Don't give them anything easy. Be that team that you were to start the season.
Yeah, and Virgil Williams just brought up a good point, and maybe that's the missing ingredient. He said, I thought Ellis was going to be the big hard hat guy this year, but he's fell off of his intensity as of late. He needs to get that back. That's a good point. Ellis was one of those guys. Everybody was talking about Quinterly this and Shackle for that, but Ellis in those early wins was mission critical, and he kind of sparked things the other night. When you look at his play on the offensive and defensive end of the court, so maybe is Ellis the guy that they need to get going?
He's definitely been a spark plug at times this season. And the only thing is sometimes those spark plugs can burn out. So, if he can do that at a consistent rate, I think he's a huge part to this Alabama offense and what this Alabama team can do, because he was the guy that people were talking about, hey, maybe this can be Alabama's next first-round pick.
Yeah.
So,
well, hey, real quick, 3-point shot. Give me three reasons why Bama wins against Georgia.
Talent, defense, and effort.
Talent, defense, and effort. That's X's and O's 3-point shot. Speaking of X's and O's, tell our listeners where they can find you.
Yes, you can find my podcast, X's and O's Sports Podcast, on Apple iTunes and Spotify. I have 2 episodes out. One where I interview you and talk about your life story, and then the newest one that is out today, what can Alabama do to bounce back?
What can Alabama do to bounce back? Will they run another national title? Probably. But looking at basketball, 3-point shot, effort for 40 minutes. And do effort for 40 minutes. That's my 3-point shot. Effort for 40 minutes. All day long. Shoot it like you shoot them threes. All right. Hey, that's X's and O's, Xavier Houston. I'm Martin Houston. Thanks to Joe and all of the interns, all the callers, listeners, viewers, and chatters. We appreciate you being a part of the conversation right here on the Martin Houston Show. And remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. We'll be breaking down that Alabama basketball game on tomorrow. More of the Martin Houston Show right here on the same bat channel, same bat time on tomorrow. Roll Tide and have a blessed day, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9.
Thanks, Jeff.